Good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday, February 28th, and this is our regular council meeting. We had a in-camera component from 5 to 6. It is now 6 p.m., and we're in our open session. So I'd like to call the meeting to order and just start off with my introductory remarks and land acknowledgement statement that the town of Midland recognizes that it's located on land which is traditional and treaty territory of the Anishinaabeg people, now known as the Chippewa Tri-Council, comprised of Beausoleil First Nation, Rama First Nation, and the Georgina Island First Nation. This territory is within Pre-Confederation Treaty 5 and Treaty 16 and included within the Williams Treaties of 1923. The town of Midland recognizes it's located on land which is a traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat and the historic homelands to the Métis, and our town is home to a large and diverse community of Indigenous people. I'd now like to deliver the following safety message. Should a fire alarm activate, please exit the room in an orderly fashion and proceed to the evacuation assembly area, which is located in the upper parking lot. You may exit through the main entrance, double glass doors here, make an immediate left and proceed out the front doors or through the secondary exit right back here, up the stairs, check the door for heat for opening, and if it's safe, exit on the second floor, hang a right, proceed out the door in front of you. And we'll see you out there. Washrooms are located on the second floor to the left of the seating area, and an elevator is located just outside the main entrance. As Midland has a respectful workplace policy, anyone exhibiting violent or harassing behavior will be asked to leave, especially today because it's Pink Shirt Day, when we're all touting our pink shirts thanks to Councillor Ball, which is about harassment and bullying.
Thanks to BGC.
Exactly. Not he's being pink, but we are. As Midland, where am I? For anyone requiring hearing assist device, please advise the clerk and she will arrange with our IT staff to provide you with the device. Council meetings are recorded via Zoom and are posted to the town's YouTube site. The meetings are also broadcast on Rogers TV Midland Channel 53 when available. So with that, I will ask for a moment of silent reflection. Very much, everyone. I'd like to pass the virtual mic over to our CEO, Ms. Bunn, for a special announcement before we get going on the agenda.
Thank you. Through your worship, to members of council and the public, I have the pleasure today. I would like to introduce John Thompson. John Thompson is our Executive Director of Environment and Infrastructure. And I may do a quick handover to John just to do a quick introduction of himself. He does it much better than I do.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. It would have been nice to meet you in person, but we'll do it in a two-dimension format. I am actually three-dimensional. My name's John Thompson. I'm a professional engineer and I've worked in the municipal engineering business for a number of decades. I'm a local Simcoe County guy and I've worked for many municipalities and in this type of capacity. So I'm not new to what my assignment is, but I'm certainly new to you in Midland, but I know the area pretty well. And I have been taking my short time here so far, getting to know your staff and the requirements that you and Rhonda have will be giving to me. So I'm pleased to be here and best wishes on your council proceedings tonight.
Thank you very much, and you're very much welcome. And for those wondering, you know, what's John doing here? I thought we have a guy, Andy Campbell, who's been with us for many years, has retired again, and he is now looking to explore new opportunities in life. And so we had a void that we needed to fill rather quickly as we worked through succession planning in our organization. And John Thompson, you know, comes with deep knowledge and understanding of everything that needs to be done. And I don't think we could have found a better candidate to step in and help us fill in the gap, as it were, while we look for somebody on a long-term basis, because John too is retired and is lending us his expertise and has worked out a great arrangement for the Midland ratepayers, and where we all are winning on this equation. And Ms. Bunn has brought him to organization, and I had a chance to meet with him briefly today, and I'm looking forward to great things. He's going to be in charge of new projects that have yet to really be given rubber stamp, things like that affordable housing, tiny home feasibility in our community, as well as getting the RFP going for Midland Bay Landing and what that's going to look like moving forward. enshrining that parkland that has been so important to the community. So there's a lot of big, heavy lifting projects that he's able to just walk right in and start helping us with right away. So really happy you were able to join us, John. Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. Apparently you're a wealth of knowledge and not one to have on the opposite side of a trivia night. So if we find ourselves in trivia, you want to partner with John. He's forgotten more about this job than I'm likely to learn in the next 3 or 4 years. So, and also a former counselor. So he gets what it's like to be on the political side of the spectrum. So again, welcome, and the community will get to know you better in the weeks and days and weeks and months that follow.
Thank you.
Okay, so we came out of closed session. I have a motion here moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor East, that further to the verbal report of the deputy clerk and confidential criteria-based matrix provided and related discussions during the closed meeting session of council on February 28th, 2024, council herein confirms the appointment of the following individuals to the Midland Heritage Committee. I'm so happy we're getting this thing going for a term to coincide with the term of council. And I'd like to welcome and congratulate Renee Hackstetter, returning, Richard Zarek, Mary Templeton, returning, Debbie Ritter, and Daniel Broom. And further, that administration be directed to amend and repost respective committees and boards with all available appointments for this council term. Council, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that is carried. Welcome, everybody, and we've got some work for you to do. And I know Renee is probably will begin emailing you tonight or tagging you on Facebook about some of the past unfinished business of the Heritage Committee. So we're certainly looking forward to having this committee stand up. Next, I have a motion moved by Councillor East, seconded by Councillor McDonald, that council receive as information and confirm the directions as outlined in the verbal report and update provided by the Chief Administrative Officer at the closed meeting session of council held February 28, 2024, with respect to the organizational update. We've had our conversation in camera. Council, all those in favor? Opposed? That too is carried. All right, next, moved by Councillor Ball, seconded by Councillor Prost, that the contents of the regular council with closed session agenda for February 28, 2024 be approved. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. And just before I go on, you will notice we're down one square on the screen. Councillor Meredith is under the weather. He was going to try and attend if he could, but he's battling the same bug that many people have right now. So keep him in your thoughts. He's here in spirit. Next, moved by Councillor Downer, seconded by not Councillor Meredith, we'll say Councillor East, that the items and related recommendations contained within the February 28, 2024 consent agenda as consent items, having been considered by council, be adopted with the exception of one report that was pulled. Item 10.4.5 CSR 2024-25 Southern Georgian Bay OPP Detachment Board, which will be considered under section 17 reports and other items withdrawn from consent agenda for council's consideration, including presentations by consultants regarding a report under consideration, which will be on our new deputy mayor's side of the agenda. That being said, the other items, this is your opportunity if you have any quick comments or anything you wanted to throw in about the other items that we're about to pass en masse. This would be the time. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor Gordon. I just wanted to comment on the wastewater services annual report and the drinking water annual summary report. I found them very reassuring and thorough, and thank you for them. And in that respect, we have a bylaw, I guess, to amend the rates for the water and sewer service. And I just put forward, shall I wait till the bylaw part comes or should I ask the question now? Ask now. It says to change the rate for 6-inch water meter size from 680.11 to 586.04 as shown in Schedule A, but I couldn't find the 608 amount on Schedule A.
Madam CFO.
It should be visible.
Through your worship to Councillor McDonald.
Sorry, could you turn your camera on? We're going back to the good old days of that way the people at home following along can see your smiling face when you're talking. Otherwise, you're like a little ant in the big shot. Thank you very much.
I don't know.
We'll promote you to a panelist if we need to. Good thing the IT guy is right beside them.
It's a good. I may need to reach out.
And if I may, just to clarify my question while she's turning on her camera, the way I read this, our rate is dropping from 680 to 586, which would be lovely if that's correct. Is it?
Andre doesn't have his computer with him tonight, but so we'll if you'd like, well, our CFO's getting her camera going, or if you want to just,
So
we'll
oh,
give you
there we
the,
go.
we'll give you a hall pass for this one because you're trying diligently.
All right, I think we're good. Just connecting here. Okay, there we go. So the 680 18, I believe the number was 68011 was in the previous bylaw. So at our February 14th council meeting, we adopted the rates bylaw. That was a clerical error, and so it's not shown in Schedule A. So the rate is actually 586.04.
Okay. So it's going from 586.04 to no, to that's the 2024 proposed rate. And we just don't know what it's coming from.
So it's coming from 558.13. So the section in blue, just further to the left.
Okay.
It's a 5% increase is what it is. So it goes from 558.13. 5% increase would be the 586.04.
So our bylaw will be corrected before we pass it. So when we're going to pass the bylaw, we'll have the correct numbers in it.
Correct. Yes. So we did pass the bylaw on February 14th. We noticed the clerical error, which is why we've got an amendment to the bylaw tonight. The rates go into effect March 1st.
Thank you.
Councillor Ball.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak to 10.4.3, establishing a working group for the North Simcoe Rec Center. Just noticed the youth participation in that. Obviously, hopefully that can work harmoniously with the youth council. Like I know neither one of these have come to fruition, but hopefully both will, and that can be a harmonious endeavor. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, just further to that, people following along in the non-resident fees we're looking at how to implement those. So what a lot of the feedback, other than people who just don't want to pay, they don't want to keep getting it for free, which I get. I've had plenty of online conversations with those folks, and they aren't Midland residents. We're also working in tandem, of course, to try and funding agreements with our neighboring partners, which, I'll say has gone over kind of lukewarm right now, honestly, with Tiny and Tay, just so far. But that's the purpose of getting everyone in a room and showing them under the tablecloth. They can actually see what the costs are. Here's what we're trying to achieve. Here's how we're trying to lose less money. And I think the key takeaway is that we're not doing this to the groups, are going to do it with them. And I'm using that a couple times this term so far. So they'll have a chance to be participants of this. Is everyone going to leave happy and going, wow, I'm so glad I'm giving more money to Midland? Probably not, but they will have had a voice at the table and understand our challenges and being part of the conversation. So that was the commitment in the next step in the process. For people who thought this was a done conclusion, where I was sending bills for $200 to everyone in neighboring townships, no. What it looks like, the exact number, whether it evolves into something like a fee per child per sport, as is done in other communities, or if we just do this one blanket fee for households, all of that is what's going to come out of this working group. So we're going to be inviting all the stakeholders, which includes our neighboring municipalities, to participate. And I'm pretty sure they'll all show up. So I'm really looking forward to this stakeholder group and coming up with a reasonable and responsible way to implement this fee. And just for clarity, this working group's one of their reasons to exist is not to determine whether or not we do this. We are doing it. We need to for our ratepayers. It's how are we going to implement it? It's much like parking. What do we do? So anyway, hopefully the folks that have been irked by this in our neighboring municipalities will see that we're making every effort to work with them and come up with a solution that makes sense, that doesn't kill sports and that doesn't attack the kids and the other things that are, some of that rhetoric that appears online that I've been dealing with quite happily. That's my job. But this is our step 2 in this. And to be fair, this is going to include Ascanonia, Boys and Girls Club, the cadets, everybody that's going to be impacted by this. Because some of the other things that are being said, elsewhere, is that we're giving hall passes to everyone. This is just us going after hockey and organized sports, which isn't true. So that's the long and the short of it. The report's pretty clear for those who like to read along, but it didn't get pulled because I think it was pretty succinct in what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. So I'm glad that it's on there. Councillor Ball, did I inspire some more comments?
I think I just wanted to say that the youth, there were a lot of engaged youth about this, so hopefully they want to come to the table. And we're still looking for applicants, like I just said, and I think that they were very politically charged, a lot of them, so maybe they want to give us their opinion before we make decisions for next time, for any future decisions. And also, we're going to have to look at not-for-profit organizations that aren't allowed to charge additional fees for profit. So we have to look at that and the way that we have that worked in. So just a thought for later.
Absolutely. So the key takeaway is that we're collaborating with our community, we're involving the community, we're engaged in the community, which are all commitments that I believe all of us have made to people over the years. So we're honoring that, even on some of the more contentious stuff. I wanted to echo the good work that water wastewater continues to do and the amazing scorecards that we consistently get. It's almost becoming like yawn. Yeah, we got another 100%. Great. Don't think we take that for granted. A little funny story. I was one of the last people I feels like in the town that hadn't had their meter upgraded to the new drive-by meter where they just drive by and they don't have to plug into my house. So we had that done today in the middle of this lovely storm, and my water shut off and my house wasn't working. So they had to go to find it on my front lawn, which was an interesting thing in the blowing snow and ice. And they got my water shut off, and then it snapped. So it's snapped closed. So what do you do then, right? So I'll tell you what the town does, and this is what they do for everybody. This isn't the mayor treatment, and I made sure that they call out one of our local contractors that we have a partnership with, and they put PEX between my neighbor's house, their little tap spigot at the back of their house, and my house. And that's how I'm getting water for my neighbor right now. And so my neighbor doesn't get, penalized. They take a snapshot of the meter reading, and any of the water that I'm effectively leaching off of my neighbor isn't getting billed to them. And apparently this is how it works. This is what happens. And this does happen. Sometimes it freezes, sometimes it breaks. Anyway, I'm amazed at just how organized this was. Nobody was like deer in the headlights. Look, oh God, what do we do now? This was just another day at the office, and everything fell into place. And I made it here on time today, and I am drinking my neighbor's water, as it were. So anyway, long and the short of it is our water wastewater operators are first class. And there was a young new guy that was pretty new on the job, and he was learning how to take pictures and put the data into the work order, and he was doing an awesome job. So anyway, just firsthand experience, because not everybody gets a lot of hands-on experience with our water wastewater. It's just one of those things you pay every month and exists. But I had a chance to enjoy the services, and it was top drawer. So kudos to the folks that responded. And they aren't going to dig that nastiness up in the middle of this freezing snowstorm. I think they're going to wait a couple of days for the sucker truck to come to save money, because they could have brought it tonight, and I think they would have, because it's for the mayor, right? Which I told them, you can't do this for me. I need to be treated like everybody. But if they brought the truck tonight, it would have been overtime, and they would have been sucking up my front lawn right now trying to dig down to that. And I'm sure they would have. But the responsible thing to do is no. And the guy said this to me, no, it will cost too much money. We're going to do that on Friday. The weather's going to be better. We get better rates on the truck. It has to come from Meaford or someplace like that. So it's just awesome to see how this all works. And I'm not even entirely sure they knew who I was, but not that it matters, but it was just really cool to see that. And I really didn't feel like I was getting special treatment. And the young guy told me, no, this is what we do for everybody. So my own little personal thank you to the water team. You guys are killing it as usual. Attachment board, we're going to talk about it's pulled. Yeah, the farmer's market, anyways, we'll talk about the last one, the Southern Georgia Bay Farmers Market, as we all know, they lost their home because we sold their parking lot. There was a bit of drama around that when it happened. And the concern was they're going to vaporize and not be anywhere. Nothing could be further from the truth. Staff worked with them diligently. They identified a new lot. The sign was actually moved several months ago, so you will have seen it in its new home. So this is now formalizing that arrangement. So I'm really happy that happened because the farmers market is an awesome draw in our community. And they needed a new home and we found them one. So, and they worked with the town staff really well. And award of merit, we're not doing the award of merit tonight. This is the 3-week heads up for council. So people watching, if you think that there's somebody in our community deserving of the award of merit, reach out to counselors and give us a little spiel as to why. We're all going to be thinking of people ourselves, but we rely on the input from our community to identify amazing residents that would be deserving of this honor. And we do this every year. So for the next 3 weeks, the timer's on. Reach out to us if you think there's somebody that is absolutely deserving of Midland's highest honor, and thank you. And we'd love to hear about it and contemplate that. So there we are, the long-winded spiel about the stuff we're not talking about later. Have we missed anybody? No? Okay. All those in favor? If you remember what we're voting on. Okay. Call it carried. All right, next, moved by Councillor Downer, seconded by Councillor Bald, the council resolving of the committee of the whole. All those in favor? And that's carried. And I pass the chair over to Deputy Mayor.
Welcome to Committee of the Whole. We don't have a public meeting or a hearing this evening. Presentations, we do not have any. We don't have a recommendation report from the Integrity Commissioner, but we do have a deputation. The deputation is for an animal control bylaw proposed amendment to include licensing and control of cats. So I'd like to invite Ms. Gail Raven up to do her presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councillors. Sorry?
Sorry, just before you start, we have 10 minutes.
Right, I won't be that long. Okay,
Thanks.
I'm on, right? Yes, okay. So obviously I'm here to ask for a law to be passed to keep either cats in a catitude cage or to be tethered while outside. My name is Gail Raven. I live on the corner of 5th and Victoria Street. And if any of you know my house, you can clearly see that I'm a gardener and I take great pride in my property. And I enjoy the folks who come to view my garden. I've been on 3 garden tours here in Midland, and the proceeds from touring my garden go to help fund the hospice and Penetang machine. We currently do not have a cat law in place, and from what I've learned from Randy Biden from the SPCA is that cats were allowed to roam free to keep the rodent situation down around town. We don't have horse and buggies anymore, and the rodent situation is not a problem like it was in the 1800s. The roaming feral cats and house cats are the problem in the neighborhood with regards to damage. Since I've moved into my home in 2015, I've had my wicker furniture destroyed from cats using the furniture for scratching posts. My outdoor carpets have pull marks and holes from the cat sharpening their nails on them. I had a pond that was full of goldfish. They were all killed by cats, and I know it was cats because the fish had hooks on them. When they were done flopping, they'd grab another one and did the same thing. If it was a raccoon, it would have been eaten. I put a thick tape around the pond so when the cat's paws got caught on their pads, in the morning I followed the tape trail back to my neighbor's back door where the cats were let in the house in the daytime. They use my garden beds for their toilet needs, and they dig out small plants. Never mind the stink of cat dung and the cat poo I get on my hands when I'm in the garden. They spray my front deck with cat urine, and it's unbearable to sit outside with the smell of it. They come to my bedroom window at night and start cat fights with my cat. They fight with other cats that roam the neighborhood at night. And our house seems to be the place for the big meet and greet. I can't tell you how annoying it is to get woken up with the sound of cats fighting. They lay on my outdoor cushions, leaving cat hair all over them, and there are fleas on our cushions. We know this because when we sit in the cushions and we get flea bites from the fleas jumping on us. They knock off plants and break pots sitting on my windowsills. I get great pleasure sitting outside watching the songbirds that come into my yard to feed on the bird feeders, and we're so annoyed with the cats coming in, jumping up to grab a songbird to eat it. Some of the cats just kill them for the sake of killing them and then move on to grab another one. It senses killing, decimating the songbird population. How come dogs are to be leashed and have to be tagged with a license, but a cat is not? I have to clean up my dog poop and put it in the garbage, and I should do that to be respectful of others' property. Some cat owners have no respect for my property. Why shouldn't they be responsible for cleaning up their cat dung in my yard, replacing the furniture, plants, etc. that their cats destroy? My other concerns with the feral cats and domesticated cats freely roaming is what if we get an outbreak of rabies? 4 years ago, I had a raccoon in the afternoon come into my yard right beside me while I was cleaning my pond. It ended up, it had distemper, and Randy Biden from the SPCA came and took it to be put to sleep right away. I had to bleach down all the areas where I knew the raccoon walked, and my next door neighbor had to do the same, as he had a big dog at the time, and he saw the raccoon in his yard sleeping in one of his chairs in the morning. So to this point, what about the cats that are crossing the same paths as the raccoon that has distemper? Many of the folks in my neighborhood like to kick the cats out at nighttime so they don't get run over by cars, but they don't care about what happens to the cats or the neighbor's property. I ask myself, do they care about their pet? I would like to ask, would council please consider to vote to pass a bylaw that would not allow cats to run at large, and perhaps, and this is a big ask, could the feral cats be caught and either be spayed or neutered or be put to sleep? And I just want to add too that I really don't hate cats. I do love cats. Mine stays inside. And the other thing I want to say that Barrie already has a regulation, a law in place for cats that they cannot run at large. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Raven. Do we have any questions or comments from council?
We
Mayor
could let some
Gordon?
fishers loose. Sorry, that was just a bad joke.
Yeah, so many fishers would be cheaper than
Yeah,
the dog catcher.
Yeah,
But,
spaying and neutering.
Yeah, Gail, thanks. I've been to your house and seen your beautiful gardens and how much work you put into them and your property standards. I mean, you were probably the gold standard that I think we could hold other people to.
Thank you for saying that.
But
Mr.
that being said, even the people who maybe just have a backyard and other than mowing the lawn, that's all they do, they'd be subjected to the same nuisance of domestic animals running
Mhm.
loose. So one of the things this council has already been asked to do, I think we had another proponent come, Ms. Doherty, asking us about, as we review our bylaws, updating the one about a feeding prohibition for animals in backyards. It was kind of all encompassing what she was looking for, because right now we don't allow feeding of birds, for example, and squirrels or whatever in the parks, but nothing kind of regulates private ownership, private residences, right? It seems like a bit of a reach, but it's been done in other communities. So I think Mr. Smiley, in his review, would be contemplating that feeding complaint that we'd heard to see how that could be worked into our bylaws, if it makes sense. Because again, we don't make bylaws just to solve one person's problems with a neighbor, right? But I don't think it would be an unreasonable ask for us to also look at basically a prohibition on domestic and pets roaming free in the town. Because to your point, we license dogs, and dogs can be a nuisance in a different way if they're roaming loose. But we don't license cats. I don't know that I'd suggest we do a tax on cats. But because a dog license is basically that, helps pay for the dog catcher service. But quite frankly, if we're going to be paying Huron Animal Control or anybody, but Huron Animal Control is who we use, to go and round up and scan for chips and try and find owners and issue a fine for having their loose cat, then it might involve some type of license, because it's the whole purpose of that is truly cost recovery, not really a tax.
Mhm.
So I'm inclined to agree that domestic pets should not be roaming around town for a variety of reasons you've stated, some of which could be attributed to the animals, some could be something else. But regardless, I don't think that's an unreasonable ask. I don't know if Mr. Smiley's with us this evening, but if council is persuaded, I don't know that we need a motion per se, other than it's just good input that he's heard. And if there's consensus around this table, that be something he consider as he brings back the revised animal control bylaw for the town. So would something like that be okay if it's part of our review for this animal control bylaw?
Yeah, sure. I did have a petition too that I sent it in with my deputization there. Did you get, I'm looking at Ms. Brose there. I don't know. I forget who I gave it to. Anyways, I did have a petition for the cats as well. Some people signed. I didn't want to go and bang on doors because COVID was around then. I didn't want to go knocking door to door, but. Thanks.
That's fair. Any other counselors have a question about this or, oh, who's got the virtual hand? Steve. Sorry about that. I wasn't staring at my screen. I should have been. Mr. Farquharson, please go ahead.
Thank you through you, Madam Chair. As the mayor has indicated, we are looking at all of our bylaws, so we will review this as part of our bylaw review. We also are having discussions with our canine control and animal service provider who goes around if there is any sort of dog bites or anything like that, does investigate. So we can speak with them and bring this up to see what their experience is with regulating cats and what types of examples or municipalities have policies in place that perhaps we could look at. We want to make sure that whatever bylaw or regulation we do put in full force and effect or bring forward to council, that it is enforceable and easy to enforce for staff or our contractor. So we will add this to our list and we will report back to council. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And it's more a comment. I believe that your gardens are the envy of every gardener in the area, including myself.
Thank you for saying that.
Kind of a silly thought. I guess you don't grow catnip.
No, I don't grow catnip.
Plant
I
some
have cat-
catnip in the neighbor's yard.
I have cat mint.
But thank you. And that is a serious problem. I've experienced it in the past, but
Yeah.
not to the extent that you have
Oh.
with them on the lawn and that. Have you tried different scat?
I've
Products.
trapped a few of them because Randy Biden said to me I could trap them. And I took them in the Humane Society. So, but then after I started trapping, then COVID was on and I couldn't, so I just had to let them go. Oh,
I was referring to a product that you can buy. I think it's called Cat Scat or Dog Be Gone.
oh, yeah, I've
Have you tried
that.
those?
It didn't
Oh, okay.
do a thing.
We'll keep up the great
Yeah,
work anyway,
Yeah, okay, thank
for
you.
our pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Raven, for your
Okay, thank you.
presentation. So moving forward, committee and local board delegation or memo, there were none. Reports and other items withdrawn from the consent agenda, council's consideration include presentations by consultants regarding report under consideration. So 17.1, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor East, Councillor Downer. COW-2024, that staff report CSR-2024-25, Southern Georgian Bay OPP Detachment Board dated February 28th, 2024 be received, and one, that council approve the proposed Southern Georgian Bay OPP Detachment Board selection and appointments process, and that council authorize the chief administrative officer to execute the memorandum of understanding as set out as Appendix A, and that the chief administrative officer have delegated authority to proceed with all necessary steps to ensure compliance with the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019, SO 2019, C1, Schedule 1, and the formation of the Southern Georgian Bay OPP Detachment Board, and that the term of this appointment of Mayor Bill Gordon, Councillor Jim Downer, and Mike Osborne to the Midland Police Service Board be deemed completed and fulfilled as of March 31st, 2024. Can I ask Councillor McDonald to speak to this? You pulled this one, please.
Thank you. I did have a email conversation about this. I just thought it would be good to have some discussion on the board composition and the application process for the new board. If we could clarify that. It is on page 13 of the report, I think it was, but if somebody could address that for me, that would be great.
CAO Bunn, please.
Through Madam Deputy Mayor to Councillor McDonald. So the process that is in place and is circulating to the other 4 municipalities as well will be that the CEOs from each municipality and the mayor will sit together once the applications have been received and review the applications. There will be suggestions, and the thought on that was to make sure that the composition of the entire detachment committee would be a fulsome committee. And people do have to apply and have the qualifications. Once that we have gone through and had a recommendation, the recommendation would come back to council.
Thank you. I was skipping a step in my mind.
Are there any more questions? Mayor Gordon.
Thanks. I'd just like to thank Councillor Downer and Member Osborne for their dedicated work on the Police Services Board this term. It's one of those boards where you wish you had more control over public safety and how it's delivered in the community than you actually do with the legislation. The good news is there's a little more, the legislation that's now going to take an effect on April 1st doesn't really provide the new board with any more jurisdiction or power, but it combines the power of all the 5 municipalities that are served by the one police detachment. And it includes members from each of those municipalities, not only to make life easier on the detachment commander, so he's only got to go to 1 meeting instead of 5 every quarter, but it puts us all in a room because we're all sharing the same resources. We're largely sharing the same struggles with the same offenders traveling between our communities. And I think it's going to be a lot more efficient and effective. So I am looking forward to this new detachment board. Unfortunately, there can only be one because of its makeup. There's 13 members in total. So that's 1 elected official from each of the 5 jurisdictions, 1 community appointee from each of the 5 jurisdictions, and then 3 provincial appointees. So for anybody that's interested in being one of those provincial appointees, the process to apply for that is just on the province's website, the same way you would be appointed to any of these bodies. And I would encourage you to put your application in if you'd like to be a provincial appointee, and then there will be the advertisement for the community appointee for each of the 5 municipalities. You'd have to, of course, live in that community. There's the regular requisite requirements. And so that's what's coming down the pipe. The new board is not going to have any magical new power. I'd like to say we could, do more to direct the OPP and their service delivery. That isn't, that's not in the new act. So we don't have that ability, but I think it's going to streamline problem solving and sharing up some of our challenges, and certainly going to make creating the new detachment policing plan, which happens every year, a lot easier because we're all at the same table, sharing our concerns and trying to whittle it down to the lowest common denominators, things that the police cannot reasonably do. So I'm looking forward to that. For people who are interested in this report, it is online, and I'm glad you pulled it so we could have a quick chat about it. It's new, but again, I just wanted to thank our 2 long-serving members for their input and help this term. It's been great, and the Midland Police Services Board is dead. Long live the Midland Police Services Board. So once we pass this, it's over. Technically, there's 1 more meeting, so we have to do a little handoff of one lingering matter, shall we say. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you. And I'm glad you brought that to the attention of the community, that they had the opportunity to apply online. Just 1 more comment. Has the Ministry of the Solicitor General been updated on our CAO's name? The letter dated July 19th is not addressed. It's addressed to the wrong person. Hopefully we can update them.
CAO Bunn.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Prost, and through to Councillor McDonald. Yes, when the letter came in, I did notice that. I do have something out to the Solicitor General's office to update my name onto that. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to number 18, notices of motion. I don't believe we have any. Oh, I apologize. Councillor Ball.
Thank you. I'm going to put a notice of motion in to allow the guest house shelter to use 2 spots in the parking lot behind the guest house shelter. Also for them to maintain their own snow removal on those. Currently, we do not have any overnight parking allowed in our parking lots, which includes the guest house shelter not being able to have staff park in their lot. So I would like to change that, and I'm putting a notice of motion in for next time.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Are there any others? Okay. Moving to 19, general announcements. Does anybody have any general announcements? Mayor Gordon.
I'm always good for at least one. Speaking of guest house shelter, with the coldest night of the year event, it happens every year on February 24th. And this year, I'm super happy to say that the $31,661 were raised for the guest house shelter as part of the CNOY initiative. This is a big deal for the guest house. Approximately 75% of their funding has flow through funds from the province, managed through the county and delivering to them. But that leaves a 25% gap in their funding. And they need that every year to deliver their services. So even as the county and the province give more money to the guest house shelter, there's still this percentage gap. So they really rely on coldest night of the year and people giving throughout the year, but this is the big one. And now, truth be said, their goal was 50,000, but I mean, so mine was a lot higher than I raised too. I think I raised just $600 or something, but I started off at 250 and I hit that and I cranked it up again. And that's generally what you do on these things to try and get your goal up. A lot of people came together for this event. We had 134 walkers, 25 teams, at least 9 volunteers. I think there's 9 on the webpage, but I think there was more than that. There was a whole cheering section of kids, which was awesome. Really kept us going because it was the coldest night of the year on the coldest day of the year, for heaven's sake. Like it was a cold day for the walk. But they're just under $32,000. Bravo. Thank you, Midland and surrounding community and the businesses that supported both my little team and the other teams. And just a real big hearty thank you from the guest house shelter and everyone whom they serve in our community. And again, stay tuned. There's more goodness coming. Some really cool announcements coming about the guest house, and there's some expanded services. And as people downtown may have noticed, you're not tripping over homeless people in all the doorways as much as you may have perhaps been last year or even 6 months ago. That's largely due to some changes in funding and some staffing and services at the guest house shelter, also because it's cold. But there's some good news coming. That's I wish we could say we're solving homelessness, but we're going to take a notch out of it anyway, and we're working on it. So that's my announcement. And thanks, Midland. You did a great job.
Any other announcements? Seeing none. Moving on to 20, I have, it's moved by Councillor East, seconded by Councillor Ball. A motion to close committee of the whole and resume formal council session. All in favor? There you go. Mayor Gordon.
Thank you very much. Doing a bang up job. It's your second one. You nailed it. Motion moved by Councillor Downer, seconded by Councillor East, that the recommendation of the committee of the whole for the meeting of February 28th, 2024 be adopted as resolutions of council. All those in favor? And that is carried. All right, up next, we've got 22.1. I have a motion here moved by Councillor Downer, seconded by Councillor East. The staff provide a report to council to investigate the costs and feasibility of running the Butter Tart Festival for 2 days. Take it away, Councillor Downer.
Well, it was me that brought this motion to the floor. And thank you, Councillor East, for seconding it. I'd like to see our festival run into 2 days instead of 1. I know there's a lot of reasons for not doing it, but I'd like to 4 reasons for doing it. Whether we have to bring in a band for entertainment or something to get our hotels full and our restaurants. I don't think they're being utilized on that weekend, and one day I don't think is enough to showcase our town. And I'd like to move forward and make some plans to try and keep things going for the whole weekend. So I look for some support on that.
All right, perfect. So maybe before we get into council questions on this, it would be good. I did share with you, because I brought this up last summer, and I did get an email that I don't think council all saw with some rationale as to why it wasn't in place right now. And Karen Mealing, I believe, is online and can pop online, and she can just share some of those things with you. It's not meant to dissuade from this, but it's just to bring some more information to the table, and then we can continue some conversation on this. Because of course, anything's possible. Ms. Mealing.
Thank you, Mayor Gordon, and through you to council. Yes, this having Butter Tart be a 2-day event is obviously something we hear quite often. It's a comment we see on social media, and it has been considered in the past. However, there are a number of factors that we've considered, and that's why we've kept it as the 1 day. However, if council would like a report and an evaluation on making it a 2-day event, we will certainly provide that for you. Some of the reasons why we have kept it as a 1-day event is that after the 2016 or 2017 festival, before I was hired by the town, they did a survey of the vendors and to see if they would have it as a 2-day event. The majority said no for the Butter Tart vendors and those who are doing baked goods. It's a challenge for them to bake enough product and also to be able to keep it fresh for that amount of time. Also, the festival has a significant number of street closures. This causes, and they would also go from Friday evening until Sunday evening. This can cause issues for our emergency services. Also, we have security guards during the daytime at the festival always, but we would require them overnight and onto Sunday as well, basically tripling our cost for security. We don't anticipate seeing doubling of attendance. We actually think that we might see lower attendance each day. People might choose to come on the Saturday or the Sunday, or say, it's a nice beach day, let's go to the beach on Saturday and go to the festival on Sunday, and then it rains and then they just may not come. Additionally, we know that our hotels and motels are pretty well full that weekend. So we know that people are staying and coming into our restaurants and hotels, and they're getting the benefit of that. We also have a small team. To bring the festival into 2 days, we would require additional staff. We help the Public Works with the Public Works Palooza 2 weeks before the Butter Tart Festival. The week before the festival is the Kids Fishing Derby. About 3 weeks after the festival is Canada Day. Plus we have cruise ships. We're getting ready for all the other summer events, the Tugboat Festival or tall ships, depending on the year. We also have the new Music in the Park and the new Mural Festival. So in the course of 1 week with Butter Tart, we're each working at least 54 hours. If we were to make it 2 days, we're probably looking at 74 hours per staff in 1 week. Additionally, our costs for entertainment would double because we'd be bringing in entertainment for both days. We also would see more shuttle expenses because we'd be running the shuttles on both days, and the cost for operations staffs would double because they'd be working 2 days on the weekend as well.
All right, thanks for that background and some context. Councillor Ball.
Thank you. Maybe a little out of the box thinking for this one, maybe not having Butter Tart 2 days in the capacity that we see it as the 1 day with all the vendors set up and everything. Maybe we clean up that street. We don't have that security, and we make a bigger Music in the Park on the day after Butter Tart Festival. So we can combine some of those festivals. I know you did a good job with that with Tugboat Fest and with Rib Fest. Maybe there's a third-party venue that wants to come somewhere on Sunday, or maybe we just do a larger Music in the Park that's Butter Tart themed. So we can, maybe lower our costs, but maybe creative thinking and not looking at it as a 2-day vendor event.
Councillor Downer.
Yeah, thank you. I remember days gone by, we used to have a car show on the main street. It was very successful. What would be wrong with having something like that on the second day? Like the main street was packed with people looking at old cars and, just something to generate some business for the local merchants.
Karen, did you have a response to that? And then I'll go to Councillor East as well.
Thank you, Mayor Gordon. To Councillor Downer. The BIA has expressed interest in maybe doing something on the Sunday of Butter Tart weekend. We told them we would wait and see what council wanted us to do with this potential report and how they would proceed going forward. And also if a third party event, to address what Councillor Ball said, if a third party event wanted to come in and do something on Saturday evening, if they were very well organized and it wasn't going to impact the Butter Tart Festival in terms of logistics and traffic flow, or if someone wanted to do something on the Sunday, we would certainly support that and help promote it through our social media.
Councillor East? No.
Thank you, through your worship. I think that Jim's on the right track, and we should be looking at possibly adapting the Butter Tart Festival. If we don't, we could also run the risk of it not being successful because people eventually get used to it. And what Jim's doing is he's expanding the opportunity for us to grow with this. The idea of shutting down, the downtown with a car show is a great idea. Having the restaurants open up, having, food being served and sidewalk sales, it would be a great opportunity to grow and expand business for the merchants downtown. I can personally speak to it. I enjoy it and I love it, but I can tell you that really not much comes in that day. But by keeping it open for 2 days, we could really maybe focus more on a retail aspect of the second day. I love the idea of having some sort of concert, and I don't know if we have to reach out to Rotary to, expand that and do, a dark party on the second day. But there's lots of opportunities here to grow it. And the other thing that we should be watching as well is we have Barrie nipping at our feet, wanting to throw their own Butter Tart Festival. So the thing is, if we don't find ways to expand this and grow it, we could go stale with it. So I think speaking to Jim and Jamie, it's a great idea. Just find ways to grow this and really make this a huge event that not only keeps us on the map, but puts us on the map, but keeps us on the map, because I'm sure you've heard that Barrie wants to bite at our heels with this one. So I just think it makes sense to try to find a way to utilize 2 days and make this a huge event that goes province-wide. So I'll pass that off, but I think it's a great idea.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to just pass it over to Deputy Mayor Prost. She hasn't had a chance to speak yet, but are you suggesting, just because I'm trying to parse what you're saying, are you suggesting actually having a 2-day Butter Tart Festival or dovetailing a 1-day Butter Tart, clearing all that stuff out of the middle of the street so an old car show could happen in tandem? Are you talking about dovetailing 2 festivals together or actually expanding Butter Tart Festival so all the Butter Tart vendors are there for 2 days flogging Butter Tarts?
Thank you. So through your worship, I'm going to use your word synergies. So what I was originally thinking is along the way of, running the synergies of the first day. It is, Karen's right. I've spoken with merchants down there that bring their Butter Tarts. They're usually sold. I know the first couple of years they were sold out by 10 o'clock in the morning. And then they were just pulling out or twiddling their thumbs for the rest of the day. Now they've grown to see that they have to bring more to make the whole day. A lot of those vendors, there's no way that they're going to be able to make it for 2 days cooking. Some of the bigger factories that come in with, a million Butter Tarts, they can handle it, but the smaller people can't. But so what I am saying is, yes, let's expand on it. The first day is Butter Tart. People are coming, they're already here. So now let's figure out a way to keep them here for another day. And that's a great way. The car show is a great way. Shut down, have the farmers market down there on that day. Have everybody that can utilize and benefit from this event should be able to use it. And I can speak to it that even though I love it, it really does nothing for me. If anything, it's my worst day of the year. Now, I have also spoken to like Pebbletree and little trinket stores. They do great because there's those $5, $10 sales. But really, does it benefit a lot of the stores? I can't speak on all of them, but I can tell you that a lot of us don't really gain anything from it. So by creating a huge event for the 2 days, the first day, of course, obviously Butter Tart, but the second day, let's carry on. And we've got a car show, we've got a live band, we've got merchants with sidewalk sales, restaurants saying, come eat here. And then the downtown will benefit from it because you know, to be honest with you, I've even spoken to Karen about floating the idea about moving it to Little Lake Park where there's trees and getting people out of the heat, because once again, for me, for my sales, I can tell you that it's my worst day of the year. So if we can find a way to create an event that actually sparks some interest on hanging around downtown for the second day, it's got a lot of goodness to it. So yeah, mashing the 2 days together and let's fill up the second day with goodness and shut down the streets again.
Very good. So butter tart plus. Okay, Councillor or Deputy Mayor Prost.
Thank you. I think closing the street is a fabulous idea on a regular basis, but I won't even go there tonight. I don't think there's much more I can say. I agree with Councillor Downer and Councillor East. I think we can, you know, create the event to just flow into other things, and people will want to stay and they will do different things the following day.
Councillor Ball.
Thank you. I was just thinking it's great that we are willing to work with people that are going to come forward and bring this idea, but suggestion maybe we bring the idea forward to the community and say, we are looking for a Sunday event. If you're a third party that wants to join in on Butter Tart weekend, we're looking for that. And then we have the capacity to go through people who have events. We can pick one that's easiest for you to work serendipitously with. And instead of just sitting here waiting for people to come to us, I think putting that idea out to the community is a better use of, I guess, a report to investigate having vendors both days. I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but Councillor Downer, I think his anticipation was a serendipitous event as well, just expanding it in different varieties, not just vendors for 2 days. I could be wrong though. You can correct me, Councillor Downer, if that was different.
No, correct.
Okay. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you. Mayor Gordon. I just wanted to expand on the idea that, or the statement that, so was it Karen said, our hotels and motels are pretty occupied. So is that correct? So that was one of the purposes that Councillor Downer said, was to get them to stay, but it appears they are staying. We just have to give them staying overnight, but what I'm hearing is let's give them something else to do on Sunday. Maybe they'll stay another night.
This could be the first stay and play package we create that tries to capitalize off our new municipal accommodation tax, where the hotels offer a sort of a 2-day. So there's the sweetest day of the year in Butter Tart, and then there's our follow-up festival for day 2. If we got the staff and manpower to be able to pull off a day 2 type event, but certainly capitalize on all those visitors that have come to our community and trying to keep them an extra day. So it sounds like, oh, Councillor Downer.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna happen this year. Like, it's not my intent to keep a bunch of work on anybody for this year. And the Butter Tart Festival is a complete success. Thank you to the hard work of Karen and her group. I'm just looking at some way of making it better for the business people of Midland and the citizens of Midland. I mean, if it doesn't happen till next year, that gives us more time to plan something. So that's where I stand on it.
I think Karen's probably breathing a sigh of relief there, because I don't know what the expectation was that we'd be able to pull that one off this year. Whew. But yeah, it certainly sounds like there's an appetite from council to receive this report with some creative ideas. Councillor Bald.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear. But you just muted yourself, so now we can't. So press the button again. We can't hear you. No comprende. There you are, you're back. Please
Okay.
start over.
Okay. It would have to be something organized from the Butter Tart Festival to something else, right? Like 2 days of Butter Tarts. I don't think that would be very good, because a lot of the Butter Tarts are made by individuals, And do you want stale butter tarts? And do you want, you know, if they're put out, like say on the first day, and then they have the rest of the stuff to the next day, and it won't really be as good as the way that we have it now. But I think I would be okay to have the one day of the butter tart festival and then have something else on the next day. So that's my my thinking. All right, thank you.
Thanks. As it seems consensus that we're eager for staff to come up with something amazing to dovetail onto Butter Tart for day 2. And for not this year, but for next year. So we'll have time to obviously flesh that out, figure out what the cost implications are going to be, because there will be costs. But if we can offset that with launching something amazing and keeping, to everyone's point, Butter Tart fresh, so it doesn't become like, you know, yawn, it's Butter Tart Festival again. I don't think we're there yet, but we don't want to be. So there's no other comments or questions. It sounds to me like this one's going to get a bunch of hands showing. So I call a question. All those in favor of a staff report? And that is carried. Fantastic. Thank you, Councillor Downer. Next, moving on is 23. It's our bylaws, bylaw 2024. I got a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Prost. I'm gonna have to smack myself here or put a sticky on my desk. Seconded by Councillor East. You're the seconder of the night tonight. That the following bylaws, bylaw 2024-16, agreement between Corporation of Town of Midland and Southern Georgian Bay Farmers Markets to provide for an outdoor farmers market for 2024. And bylaw 2024-17, adopt amendment number 2 to the Town of Midland official plan, which I'm sure will spark a question in a moment. And bylaw 2024-18, amendment bylaw 2024-13 to set or correct, as it were, the 2024 rates for water and sewer services be passed and enacted. Perhaps Mr. Farquharson could pop back on and just give us a quick Coles notes on the official plan amendment number 2.
Thank you, Your Worship. The official plan amendment number 2 is for the property to the rear of the mall, the Mountain View Mall. This is where there's no zoning bylaw amendment. The applicants don't have a development concept in mind yet. They're just looking to remove the natural heritage, which is what this application is doing. So should council approve this, it'll be sent off to the county for them to do their approvals, and then the natural heritage would be removed, and then the mixed use designation would be applied. Thank you.
Lovely. That unlocks the development potential for some more land in town. So we talked about this the last meeting, and I did my usual accolades on natural heritage for getting rid of it where it doesn't belong. And this is formalizing that, council. Any comments or questions about these 3 bylaws? All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And moved by, I'm going to pick someone different. Councillor yeah, you're already on there, Councillor Bald. Seconded by Councillor McDonald, that bylaw 2024-19 being a bylaw to adopt the proceeding of regular council meeting with closed session held today, February 28th, 2024, be passed and enacted. All those in favor? Any opposed? It's carried. Moved by Councillor Ball, seconded by Councillor Downer, that this regular meeting of council with closed session adjourn at 7:03 p.m. It's a new record. All those in favor? And that is carried. We are adjourned, everybody. Get you home before the weather turns real ugly.